And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
If you get them out here in the street, that's not going to happen. It's too much. It's too much horsepower.
Koko, let's hit the realism of wrestling. We lost the icon Hulk Hogan earlier last week. Obviously, everybody in the world knows some of the things that Hogan was caught saying. Social media at this point, after he passed away, a lot of people trying to cancel Hulk Hogan for his words. You being a black man in a wrestling industry, I mean, let's call it, like, again, we're just fans, but we're pretty
being
well
a black man for life. Yes, I know where you're going.
Right. So, and especially in pro wrestling, it was even, could I assume that it was even more difficult, Koko, to get over in the industry because of the limited exposure early on with these promoters?
Yes. You know, we got all the black men got to learn this, got to know this. This is professional wrestling is a white man's sport. They created this. Yes. They let us play on their team as long as that I am doing their job, whatever they want me to do. They'll let me play on the team. And then they got a chance, if I don't want to act right, then they got a chance to kick me off the team or set me on the bench. But it started out as a white man. This is white man sports. And you can, there's nothing you can do about it. And I know it's not fair, but you can make you some money if you save it. If you save your money in this wrestling business, you can make money. You can live good, but you got to know how to put your money away.
So, let me ask you this, Koko. Hulk Hogan's been accused of a lot of different things. You've had experience with him. I mean, correct. You were part of this whole explosion for guys like you, Hogan. You were part of it. Was Hulk Hogan a racist?
You know what? I'm gonna say no. He was not in my eyesight, and I don't know what he said and anything like that. And Hulk Hogan has gone on to glory land, I hope. But the thing of it is, let me tell you, when Hulk Hogan and Beefcake came to Memphis, Tennessee, I took them to one of my friends. He had a barn set up with a wrestling ring inside of it in his backyard. Because one night in the Mid-South Coliseum, Terry, they came as Terry Boulder and Eddie Boulder, Beefcake. So Terry, I think the booker was Jerry Lawler, I'm not for sure, and it said Lawler told these guys that, now Terry, I want you to go out there and shoot the guy in the rope and pick him up and give him a bear hug and drop him. Do this about 10 times. Beefcake, I want you to slam the guy about 10 times. Then y'all double pin these guys. When then Terry was a little bit upset. He was just saying, man, I want to do more than this. I just don't want to I feel like I cheated the people from watching my performance and not stuff like that. And so I came to Terry. I said, Terry, my buddy's got a ring set up in his backyard. I said, let's go to this little town called Dyersburg, Tennessee. And I took Beefcake and Hogan there. And I started working out with them. And I was showing Hogan the big man stuff. This is all you need. Because Hogan was 300 pounds then. And Beefer, he didn't. He was just the middle guy. You know, he could do hot spots and all that. But Hogan, I didn't want Terry to do hot spots big as he were. I said, Hogan, and I said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to know how to clothesline the guy, know how to drop the leg on the guy. And I said, know how to roll around the ring on a guy, especially a guy like myself. The little midget is pounding on you and stuff like that. And all you doing is just registering these blows that he's giving, but not going off your feet. Don't take a bump. I said, somebody like Andre the Giant, Big John Studd or somebody, yes, take a bump for those guys. I said, but other than that, you continue to you roll around the ring, and you just completely just do that, and then you know how to drop the leg on the guy, then you know how to clothesline the guy, and then you can add all your other stuff, like he started hooking up and stuff like that, where all that came later on. And then he finally got a little bit together, and then they left Memphis and went to Vern Gagne. And then when he went up to Vern Gagne, man, that's when he really took off. That's his whole name changed and stuff like that. But let me get back to this prejudice thing. He had never, and I'm sitting in the back of his green town car Lincoln. Him and Eddie was in the front seat, and I'm in the back car. I mean, in the back seat. He ain't never mentioned nothing about no racist marks to me. Never. I mean, I don't know what anybody's gonna say once they get mad. How you gonna come out and say something? But Hogan never did, and I told Terry that. I said, why are they coming out with that? You saying you using the N word and all that stuff? I said, you never did that with me. Never. You treated me like I was one of your brothers. And then when 1986 came in, when I went to New York in 1986. Of course, there's Morocco, Ronnie Piper, all those big guys in there, Big John Studd and everybody. And then I was sitting over in the corner. Hogan came through the dressing room. And when Hogan looked over in the corner, Hogan went right over there and picked me up. I'm talking about picked me up and shook me like I was his little baby. And he told Don Morocco, he told Andre and all of them, and said, hey, y'all see this little MF here? He's the only one that helped me in Memphis and showed me the big man stuff. He said, man, welcome. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you made it here.
Koko, can I ask you this? I don't mean to cut you off on this wonderful story you're telling, but I guess my question to you is, why do you think people are hating on Hulk Hogan after even his death? And a tremendous amount of them are pro wrestling fans.
Because you know what? There's a lot of jealous people out there. I want the people to let it go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let it go. It's over. I'm talking about it is over. He's not coming back. Maybe we all can meet in heaven and stuff like that. But right now, let Hulk Hogan and his family let it rest.
Koko, difficult question. How much of it is possibly tied to, because my partner has brought this up, and I do think there is a percentage of it that's valid. How much of it do you think is it because of his political support of President Trump?
You know what? That don't have nothing to do with it. Trump, this is a equal country. So Everybody's got the right to vote who they want to vote, who they want to vote for, and stuff like that. Don't get mad at Hulk Hogan because him and Donald Trump was a good friend. Vince McMahon and Donald Trump was great. I don't see him coming down on Vince. But I don't have no problem with Donald. I mean, he treated me okay. He didn't have a conversation with me in the dressing room when I met him. I shook hands with him at SummerSlam, and he came through the dressing room. And you know what? I loved it. I shook hands with, and he wasn't even the president at that time at all.
Sure.
But you can't get mad. You can't keep this grudge with Hogan now because that's past tense.
Koko,
He
did Hogan? I'm sorry. Did Hogan ever seem selfish to you? As far as he's always getting accosted in his lifetime about being selfish, and he always thought about himself first and putting himself over. I feel like he made some real big stars in this business. Your take on that?
What you know what I could say he helped me. He had brought me in on some of his stores down there signing autographs and for me making a little money of selling the Koko Beware pictures and stuff like that. I mean he took care of me. I mean what I'm saying, and he have helped a lot of the boys too. They just they don't want to say it or whatever. But I don't know what went on now in his private life at his home, how he talked to his wife and kids and stuff. I do not know that. I just know, hey, when I got in the car with Terry, he used to ride me around in the limo, you know, and we were good. We were good friends. I mean, we were real good friends back in the day. But I just want the people to know, just please, when they done pass, there's nothing that we can do about it. Let it ride and forget about it. But Hogan was a great man for the wrestling business, and he.
Go ahead, Koko. Go ahead.
I said he was a great man. He was a great man in the wrestling world and stuff like that. I mean, the people loved him. There was a lot of tears out there when he died. It took a damper on this country. Believe it or not.
Koko, there's a story out there saying you got in a locker room fight, a real shoot fight, which, again, from what I understand, you are one tough MFer. You don't take no crap. And then you found yourself in trouble with the office, and Hogan came to your rescue. If that's true, could you tell that story?
Okay, that was with Jim Troy. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we was overseas, and this is the living truth. And I'm not gonna tell you a lie about nothing, because I was there, and I'm gonna tell it the way it happened. We was over there, and we was in a little bar right down the hill from our hotel. Jim Troy and Shawn Michaels got into it. I was playing the piano over there and having a good time and singing some songs and stuff like that. And the manager came over to me and asked me, could I go over and break your buddies up? Because they look like they're getting ready to turn my whole bar up and all that stuff. I don't want them fighting in here. So I went over there, and Jim Troy and Shawn Michaels was nose to nose, spit was flying everywhere and stuff like that. So I went over there and said, hey guys, come on, let's break this up. And I said, we over here in this country, we don't want to get locked up in this country over here and stuff like that. We won't never get out. And Jim Troy turned around, looked at me, and he said, I'm gonna take you the exact words that Jim Troy said. And he said, and here's another MF that I don't like. And said, I wonder if he's got any guts to fight and stuff like that. And I'm just going, come on, Troy, come on, man. I said, let's don't do that over here. And Troy turned around and he was spitting and going on, and he was going, you know what? I can't stand you fucking wrestlers. He said, because I'm a hockey player. I'm a lot tougher than you fucking ass, phony ass wrestlers. And I'm still going like, Troy, we over here, man. Cool it down. Well, if he don't have any fucking guts, let me see if you got any fucking guts, and then he haul off and slap me. And when he did that, and I was thinking about my father was telling us, hey, if you're wrong about something, you should get your butt whooped or whatever. But if you're right about something, you know you didn't do nothing, but you're right about something, you die and go to hell for it. Because you believe. And you know what? And I turned around and told Jim Troy, I said, Troy, I said, I'm not Jesus Christ. And I don't have the strength to turn my other cheek. Because I don't have no power like God. I said, but you know what, Troy? If you want to fight, you got one. And I lit in on him. I lit in on him big time over there. And when I finally, he ran out the door, jumped in the cab, and I'm running behind the taxi cab. I'm running, trying to catch up with this car, knowing that I can't outrun the car, but I'm trying like hell. So I went and told Janetti. Janetti didn't like why Shawn Michaels didn't fight back. Why he didn't fight back. So there was another problem. So here he come in the inside the restaurant. Here come Troy. I'm meeting him in the lobby. I said, Troy, it's not over yet, bud. It's not. And I bust him again right there in the restaurant. They had a check-in. It was a check-in counter with a kitchen added on when you walk in the door. And I left him laying on top of the table. And I never seen him no more. The next day, Terry Garvin, we went to Paris. Terry Garvin said, everybody got dressed. Said, Koko, Vince want to talk to you. He's on the phone. And I said, okay. So I talked to Vince, and Vince was sitting there, Koko, what the hell is wrong with you? Trying to beat up my executive. I can't believe it. You beat the hell out of my executive. You beat the living shit out of my executive. And I said, well, Vince, can I say something? No, I would just want you to pack your bags and go home. And I said, Vince, can I say something? Please let me say my part. Then you can let me. Now, he's already had trouble with Hogan. Already, because Hogan told me, said, I can't, this guy here is about to drive me nuts over here. Because they was over there before we got there. And Hogan was just saying, man, this guy here, I wish I could just strangle him. So he came. So when I told Vince my story, well, I can't have my executive jumping on the wrestlers. I can't have the wrestlers jumping on my executive. He said, I done send him home. So why don't you pack your bags and you go home? So I said, okay. I was just at home. I said, okay. So I went and talked to Big Brother. I said, Terry, Vince sending me home because of the Jim Troy fight. And I'm going to tell you, this is the living truth right now. I don't care what anybody tell you today or tonight or whenever. Hulk Hogan stood up for me at that time. And he told me, he said, Koko, you go ahead and go home. But I guarantee you'll be back. He said, if you don't come back, I'm walking out of WWE. And that was and that was pretty strong with Terry. Then I felt good, and in a few weeks, the office called me, told me, hey, when I can start back, and it was all over. But Vince held that against me. But after all that, Vince held that against me.
What became of that executive, if I can ask?
Uh, you talking about? I don't know. You know what? I haven't seen him since.
You never saw him again. Well,
I never saw him again at all. You know,
interesting.
I mean, I love to apologize to him. I mean, because I'm in with God, and I believe the Lord wanted me to, apologize to him or whatever we did. Either he was right, I was wrong, or whatever. It don't make two wrongs don't make a right, and two right don't make a wrong.
What do you
So
think it is that's wrong with people nowadays where you tell that you just testified on Hogan's behalf. I've heard Dennis Rodman say Hogan is not a racist. So many men of color and prominence in this society have come to Hogan's aid. Why do you think that people just refuse to listen to those voices?
because